And ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have all been waiting for. It is time for the CCIW Championship match. And it features the top seed Marion of Wisconsin. The Sabres get set to take on the Spartans of Aurora University, the number 3 seed. Emil Williams Jr. here with you. Had a quick note from Coach Rich McElmill, and I got to give Coach a lot of credit. He's been very good with his communication. I came up to him at the very start of yesterday morning and told him, "Hey, I'm going to come down and get your lineup right as you guys begin your match." And he said, "No problem." And then every time he made a substitution from that moment on, he would just come up and tell me. And I appreciate that because that kind of communication truly is invaluable. Well, we've got a championship match to get going, folks. Aurora looks like, well, we don't know, first of all, because Marion does have a choice of which lane to start on. Right now, Aurora's on the left, and it looks like Marion is going to begin on the right lane. A couple of photos being taken, actually to our right. And we actually got some photos going on down lane. As you can see, that's the sports information director for Elmhurst. Matt has been very good in getting things set up, prepared, and executed. And his first ever really true bowling event of any kind that he has had to not only participate in, but certainly try to staff, have the proper tools to host, etc., and so forth. So Aurora will begin on the left lane. Again, they are the number 3 seed. But most importantly, folks, Aurora is undefeated, which means they will have to lose twice if they are to lose the CCIW championship. And a great shot off the cusp for Aurora. And as Coach Rich told me, similar lineup to how they began their traditional game on yesterday. So Annie Hansick gets things started for Aurora. So it should be Annie Hansick, Christine Ritchie, Alyssa Alexander, Emily Plesher, and Anne-Marie Rubich. That should be the starting 5 for Aurora. And as I talked about yesterday, if you joined me, once we get into the Baker competition, the 5-game Baker to start, after the traditional, our coach then goes to the 7-player Baker system. And I learned that, I'm talking to some other coaches, that's something that Coach Rich has done throughout the season. And so his players are more than prepared and understand the system that he has in place in regards to Baker. Good start there for Marion as Abby Giddings in a familiar lineup for Coach Mueller and company as well. Shout out to Coach Craig down there as well for Marion. He has kind of been in the trenches. Coach Mueller kind of stands back, kind of watches, oversees what's happening. Coach Craig down there on the other side of things, if you will. And so I like how they have kind of how they combine to coach Marion. Speaking of that staff there. So for Marion, again, Abby Giddings, assuming that's of course Kylie Olson. You assume that they will have Elena Rimmer there along with Jocelyn Eggert, and then of course Brenna Shakira to anchor the team. Ritchie with the 5-10 in an open frame to begin for Ritchie. Speaking of Ritchie, she just won a pretty cool award. I'll tell you about that here in just a second. There's Alyssa Alexander. I talked about this yesterday, but of all the players in this tournament, in this field, it seemed like from the left to right perspective, meaning who's going to cover the most boards and who can actually get their ball to recover, Alyssa has proven to be that player. And so if the lanes are right and she's got a spot to throw to down lane, her ball roll does allow her the opportunity to strike a little bit. Nice opening frame there. We saw Elena with a strike in the third for Marion. Championship pair 29 and 30. The winner of the conference receives an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Marion has won the conference in 3 of the last 4 years. This is now an official rematch from last year's championship match, of which Marion defeated Aurora. Marion went on to the Lansing Regional last year. Eggert, single pin conversion. Same thing, of course, for Emily Plesher. Different bowling ball to start the championship round for Brenna Shakira, and the fresh has not been her friend. Just hasn't. For whatever reason, it's been difficult. And Marie, that one quickly goes Brooklyn. Interesting thing about Aurora so far in the tournament. Let me double check. How about that? Now, am I surprised that Brenna made that? Absolutely not. I've talked about her spare shooting abilities. And while she throws it very well throughout, I think it's, those are the things that separate you as a player, especially split conversions. I remember there was a couple years back, maybe, I don't know, 5 to 7 years back at this point. But if you follow bowling and, of course, the PBA, Jason Belmonte, once Belmo really kind of made that jump to being, like, in the greatest of all time conversation, one of the interesting stats that significantly brought him a couple more titles, there's no doubt about it, the evidence proves it. His his split conversion percentage was higher than, I don't know what the exact numbers were, I don't remember, but he was leading the PBA in like split conversion percentage. And you can make splits, everybody's not gonna make it 7-10, right? But the 2 4-10s, the 2-10s, the 4-10s, and of course baby splits, but the big splits, you can make those. Not only help your team, but certainly help yourself, and it builds confidence. Nice shot from Giddings. I don't know what bowling ball she's using, but it's been a kind of a main staple for her throughout the tournament. The lefty. Annie, 7-pin. Bonsick, the freshman. Heidi Enriquez, who we will see in Baker competition, also a freshman for this team. Got 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and Grace Leonard and Christine Ritchie. Olsen gets the 7 out. Olsen, I believe, using an Optimum Idol, which might be the same piece of equipment that Brenda Shakira is using as well. And Maria Jr., speaking of the Aurora squad. Good spare there for Annie. Plesher and Alyssa Alexander are the graduate students. So Alexander and Plesher will be leaving the team for Coach Rich McElmeal. The question is, will they get a chance to see what they're made of in the NCAA tournament? Speaking of Alexander and Plesher, and they're going to do everything they can to make that a reality here. And stop this run, of course, that Marion has been on, essentially owning this conference. If you're just joining us, oh, what a shot. That might be the best one of the tournament for Elena. She's throwing something that's a little bit cleaner through the front part of the lane as well. She's got a very unique role. Speaking of Elena, I mentioned this earlier, but a little bit of loft, also very forward. So when she does, from a targeting perspective, right, her execution does have to be on point, because she misses a little left, a little right. It could be difficult. But so far, so good. Nice early double. Marion making that concerted effort, at least a few players, righties in particular, to be a little further right. Again, similar to what we saw this morning. The difference, I think, right now is from a lane play perspective, or at least how the lanes broke down. Great shot from Alexander. She, too, has cut down some of the angle there. Again, Aurora paying attention to what has worked. I mean, Carroll set the bar on what to do and how to attack this pattern. And between them and Marion, great match. If you missed it, folks, I would encourage you to rewatch it. Of course, if you're a Marion fan, you can rewatch it and rejoice and be glad in it. If you're a Carroll fan, you will watch. There might be some sadness, of course, watching the team fall just short, especially in the manner of which they did by a couple of pins. But there were some strides and some gains made for Carroll, specifically with lane play. And I thought some players had a lot of confidence that was built up as well. But I would encourage you, truly a great match. So Shakira made the big jump right as well. Still think that's the right move in the grand scheme of it. But to finish the thought on lanes being broken down, both Marion had a combination, right? They were trying to break the lanes down to a degree, but also be a little further right earlier against Carroll. And then, of course, Carroll was going to be a little further right based on the success that they had last night doing that. And so the lanes, I thought, developed pretty well overall. Carroll never really had to move too far left, which is, always what you want. Interesting to see how the lanes will break down with Aurora. A lot of different styles, of course, for on the Aurora University squad in comparison to Carroll. Open frame for Shakira. She struggled in the first part of the traditional, about the, in fact, the first 3 frames this morning against Carroll. She opened with 3 consecutive splits. Speaking of Shakira. So she's been kind of weathering the storm all weekend. Again, Marion has to defeat Aurora twice. Had to confirm the format for the if necessary. So the mega match, of course, will feature a traditional game, the 5-game Baker, And then if the teams are tied at 1 point apiece, meaning one team won the traditional, the other team won the 5-game Baker, then we would go to the best of 7 if necessary. Then, let's say if Marion goes on to win the mega match in any format, as long as they get 2 points and they win, then it's an additional best of 7, essentially for it all. So we'll see how it all plays out here. Anne-Marie was missing a 9-pin on lane 30. She's either going Brooklyn or through the nose for the first 2 shots. And for Anne-Marie, she started to throw shots, I thought, a little bit better as the tournament or the matches go on. And that's based on what I watched yesterday, especially in regards to lane play, because she's kind of in the middle part of the lane, which is very tricky to play. You've got to be dead perfect just about, because that part is flat. Also the highest concentration of oil. So if you miss right, you're probably going to wash out. If you miss left, you're going Brooklyn more than likely. And so, which is why she used pitch black often in her first few shots in the tradition. Doesn't look like she's using that here today. And now she has chopped a couple of spares to start. Marion has won the conference in all but one season. That was in 2023, where Carthage took them down in the finals. Just a bit outside for Annie. Something to keep in mind for Hansik there. Yesterday there was a time or two where she had some issues with the approach. So she'd be sliding around 20-ish. And there was a time where she tossed one in the channel and came back immediately, of course frustrated. But it had happened before, not the gutter, but just the not sticking to the landing. And came back, grabbed the wire brush, and went to work on that sole on her right shoe, as she is left-handed. So it'll be something to keep an eye on. Open frame. The Lansing Regional more than likely awaits the winner of the conference today. It is the closest geographically to certainly just the states that represent this conference in Illinois and Wisconsin. And so geographically and financially, from the budget perspective, taking a flight, and you could drive, certainly, but I don't know who wants to drive from Illinois or Wisconsin to Texas or New York. Oh, brutal 8-pin. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you. That hurt my heart. It's spare from Richie. Speaking of Richie, I told you I had some items to share with you about her. And Christine
won the Elite 26 award winner. And to be eligible, well, first of all, let me tell you about the Elite 60 award. It is modeled after the NCAA's Elite 90 program. And so the CCIW has their own Elite 26 award, which is presented to the student athletes who excels academically and athletically in the conference level in each of the sponsor sports. To be eligible for the award, a student athlete must be a sophomore, junior, or senior, and in at least their second season of competition with their current team, and playing in the final game of the conference championship. So essentially 2 players across the varying sports in the CCIW, opportunities to earn Elite 26 awards. And then so for Aurora, Christina Ritchie was the Aurora winner, and for Marion, Delaney Vogt was the winner on behalf of Marion. So congratulations to those 2 players. Plesher through the nose, she'll leave the 3-6. Well, back to the what potentially awaits Marion or Aurora is more than likely going to spot in the NCAA Lansing Regional. Both New York and Texas, really good states to visit. They've been, I believe, no, we got Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania as other regional states. Pittsburgh hosts a regional. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Rochester, New York hosts a regional. And Arlington, Texas at the ITRC. They host a regional. And of course, Lansing at Royal Scott Bowl. Look out. Well, you don't see that every day. That's kind of how it's been going there for Shakira. It's probably been several years since she missed the head pin on a spare. But her struggles, speaking of Brenna, despite that, still with a 36 pin advantage at the moment. Now, if Anne Marie can get going, we might see something here. All right, she's on the board. I mentioned this yesterday, sometimes you just need to see the pins fall. Folks, please share if you don't mind. Share what you're watching. Let your friends know that you are watching the CCIW Championship. Olsen. 6 into the 8, and Christine Ritchie said, you know what, let me just reset with all of this noise. She was right into her first step when the team from Marion, of course, and their fans respectively erupted. Great break. Got a hook. I think I said this yesterday probably about Ritchie too, but I think she could move a little further right. She's someone that needs to catch the friction. A lot of forward roll, a lot of ball speed, so she needs to see the friction. Her ball needs to see it. That's peeling. Not quite enough, but just a 2-pin. Nice spare. For Marion, well, their top 3 right now doing the work, and this is kind of what they did earlier today. Marion's first 4 players, in fact, including Jocelyn Eggert, shot 192, Abby Giddings, 201, Kylie Olsen, 197, Elena Rimmer, and 193, Jocelyn Eggert. And of course, Shakira has been struggling, especially on the fresh. But she shot 148. 931 was their team total. And of course, you give Shakira even close to an average of 192.0, and obviously they're close to shooting 1,000. 7-pin will not fall for Alyssa Alexander. That was in their traditional match this morning against Carroll, 1 versus 2 seed in the semifinal match. This is the championship. Again, congratulations on a great season to Carroll. But they are close. Eggert, bang. Alexander has some trouble with those left side spares yesterday. And because she hooks at them, right, on a difficult 34-foot pattern, you anticipate some hook on a 34-foot pattern. But again, there's enough oil right where she's laying it down. Great shot there for Shakira. If there's one thing I'd love to see for Alyssa, is for her to get comfortable shooting a little straighter at left side spares, especially on difficult sport conditions. Kind of takes the lane out of play. You're not concerned, 90% of the time about what's on the lane, because you trust your ability to execute. And whether that's using a plastic ball, it could be a urethane ball, or it could be the ball she uses for strikes, which many people do, and they just learn how to flatten their hand or flatten that wrist out. Uh-oh. Well, that's troublesome. Well, there could be some technical rain delays. Hopefully not. Lane 30 will need a full rack of pins. I mentioned this yesterday, folks, but if you're watching and not just listening, many of you might be busy and doing some other things, but you see the CCIW banner on 29 and 30. But to the left, right, the masking units here are almost like see-through like shades to a degree, where you can actually see the pin or the machines, I beg your pardon, which is really cool. So you just kind of see the pins, do what they do. The machines do what they do. Put pins in place in the proper spots to some degree, right? If someone is back there needing to make a change or fix something, you can get a glimpse of them doing that as well. So I kind of like that concept here. To me, very old school. I like old school anything from a bowling center perspective. And I like that about this particular bowling center here at Suburbanite. Anne Marie likes that Brooklyn side. She's not from New York, but she'll take it. At the end of 4, Marion leads by 48 pins. I still think Abby Giddings has a couple more boards right to work with. There was a point in the Carroll match, and it was in the Baker portion, where I felt like she did move right. Oh, there we go. That's hooking. Wow. Just as I say that, right? 2-8-10. Well, unfortunately for Anne Marie, I mentioned this earlier. She had one of those yesterday. But that one looked like maybe he just came right off the hand a little bit, maybe too clean. Immediately going left. Catches some oil and not enough to stay on the lane. And it's tough when you lose count. That was almost made. Whether it's something physical or just a blip in concentration. She can limit those channel dwellers. She's going to be solid. Olsen was the only lefty in their match against Carroll. Oh, Richie. 6 into the 10. But so Olsen now with another lefty on the pair. We'll see how that might affect things. Again, these two teams met yesterday. I'll give you the skinny on it last night in a highly contested mega match. Of course, Aurora won 2-1. Marion won the traditional game 870 to 801. And then Marion proceeded to struggle in the 5-game Baker. Aurora did just enough to win 808 to 794. And they struggled just as mightily. And then into the best of 7, there was one game in the 200s between the two teams. It was on the side of Aurora. They ended up winning 4-3. It went the full distance. That was last night. Aurora's first victory, hook a little, hard way. Aurora's first victory came against Carroll in another highly contested matchup, and Carroll got out to the great start there. Elena looks pretty lined up, and that ball change might be the difference for her. I think Marion has now subscribed to the theory of just some cleaner bowling balls. You saw a few of them go down the lane in their match against Carroll, but now seeing much more of them at the start of this championship match. And how about Plesher, the graduate student from Lockport, Illinois. Finishing up the Carroll-Aurora recap yesterday morning. Eggert, 7-pin will not fall. In the Baker portion of things, that's where, again, Aurora won the job, 846 to 801. And then in the best of 7 tiebreak, that one went 6 games, and Aurora won 4-2. So that is how they have gotten their 2 victories. For Marion, their day started yesterday at 11 a.m. with a 2-0 match win over Elmhurst, but that traditional game could have gone either way, and in fact, Lori Decker had it in her hands. The anchor for Elmhurst, one of the top players in the CCIW. Left the big 4, unfortunately, in the 10th frame. Brenda Shakir left a 6-pin and made it, and that was the difference. Then Marion came out 223, 213 in the first 2 games of the 5-game Baker. Set the tone, and Elmhurst could not really get anything going in that set. and Marion advanced 2-0 when they went on to face Aurora last night, of course, and lost 2-1 in the mega match. Again, these two teams met last year. Not just last night, but last year in the championship match. Oh, look out, Shakira. Oh, my. She did not lose count. And if you're watching, folks, and you say, man, what's going on? Well, I can tell you just from personal experience, if you're on a short pattern and you're trying to play the short pattern, quote unquote, properly, which means typically near the gutter, there's very possible for you to throw a gutter. I feel like at one point in my life I was a pretty good player. I like to play the gutter, and I certainly threw a gutter every now and then. It does happen. But the 1 through 4 are doing the job right now. That's the part about bowling sometimes that can be very misunderstood. Somebody could walk in here right now and see these low scores and say that Brenda Shakir is not a good player, right? But we all know that's not the case. We know that it's not true. She is a very good player and could be great in the future. But sometimes patterns just have our number. Patterns make it difficult. It's that invisible level of difficulty as, again, casual fans about the sport. There's so many nuances that sometimes go our way and sometimes they don't. Trying to give you an update, too, of what's happening across the NCAA landscape. There are some championship matches just like this one already underway. Last time I checked, Wichita State had had gained the first point over Jacksonville State in the Conference USA championship match. Wichita State would need to defeat Jacksonville State twice. In the SWAC, Prairie View A&M was awaiting the winner of the Southern and Alabama State matchup in regards to determining the SWAC championship winner. In the MEAC, North Carolina A&T is in the championship match. That's scheduled to air live in about 55 minutes on ESPN+. The MEAC will be airing live, and I believe the SWAC championship will also air live on ESPN+. And then at the moment, actually, the Jacksonville State-Wichita State Conference USA match might be also going on ESPN. Nice make by Olsen. There are, I still don't have the exact number of conferences. I think there is someone in this vicinity who can tell me that. Meanwhile, Alexander, 10 pin here for Aurora. Make sure you check out CCIW.org for all of the news and notes. Follow the CCW on Blue Sky, X, Instagram, and Facebook. 278 for Elena. Good shot for Plesher. For Aurora, nice spare. That's not easy right there. That's a fantastic spare from Elena. Again, Marion won it last year, knocking off Aurora. Aurora, 2 years running, entered the final day undefeated. Last year in the traditional, Marion won 10:02 to Aurora 7:99. That's a statement maker right there. Then Marion came out in Baker 970 to 875. And then they went to the best of 7, which was the if necessary, and Marion won 4 games to 2. They are trying to do the exact same thing. They have to do it the exact same way. That's a great shot. I think we've been, most of us, from a high-level bowling perspective, you have that vantage point, that point of view, can understand the frustrations for Brenna. Right, she has been working really hard to get her ball to strike, and she's tried different bowling balls, varying places on the lane in regards to lane play and strategy, but the fresh has just been a nemesis on this particular pattern. going to take some moments to get a understanding on the number of bids, auto bids. Which I think is still 8. Actually, the number really might be 12. But then there are some play-in rounds that will take place at 2 regionals. It is very much set up like basketball, to where there's a play-in, right, that first 4. Very similar concept for NCAA women's ball. A 35-pin lead. For Marion. Aurora still hanging around. They are close enough at the moment. Nobody with a double. Early we had a couple of players from Marion with doubles, a couple of 3-baggers. So Aurora still with a chance from that perspective. Down to the warm-up pair. Coach Rich McElmiel doing a little bit of coaching here to our left on 27 and 28, talking with Christine Ritchie. Could be good. .610 to deal with for Aurora. It's fair. Jacksonville State and Wichita State are in the, looks like game 5 of their tiebreaker. Wichita State has done a lot of bowling. So Conference USA going down. The MEAC will go on ESPN Plus, probably about the same time frame as the SWAC. I admire Brenna's, again, mindset. She is not allowing her struggles to affect the team from that aspect, which is very important. And it's a sign of a really good leader as well. It's a sign of a really good leader as well. So the MEAC scheduled for 1, and the SWAC is scheduled for 3. 3 p.m. Central. So a lot of college bowling to watch if you have ESPN Plus today. Got to read it. Well, that looks like such a good shot from Abby, and that's where I think just the spins it just a little bit, and so the ball is never really reading the front part of the lane. Meanwhile, Hansick, after that gutter spare, 7-spare double, and she actually switched balls, throwing urethane now, the IQ 78U. All right, a change here for Coach Rich McElmill and Aurora. Christine Ritchie struggling a little bit. Back-to-back splits in frames 6 and 7. Heidi Enriquez is now going to enter the lineup, and she will bowl the last 3 frames, assuming. The old bucket and the biscuit, as my friend Aaron Smith would say. That's the bucket with, in this case, the 10-pin. Oh, Enriquez off the bench from way downtown. Well, how about that? That is arguably the most difficult thing to do in college bowling. To sub into any game, all right, in place of a teammate. First of all, you feel bad for your teammate, right? Because you don't want your teammates to struggle. All right, so then you enter for them, and then, you know, you're asked to throw the best shot possible. Oh, good shot there for Alyssa. Now, in the NCAA's case, they have warm-up pairs, so you try to get loose, and Enriquez kind of did that to perfection. Uh-oh, uh-oh. That one is through the nose. Well, I thought Aurora was starting to build something. They still are, though. Plesher could double up here. She stepped out of it. Wiggle, wiggle. No. They have cut into this lead, though. Oh, Plesher turned her back on that one. She knew it.
Like the confidence right there.